Some actors just seem to be in everything, and even when they're not, people will still insist that they are. I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 10 actors audiences are convinced are in movies, but aren't. 10. Matthew McConaughey, The Dark Knight Rises. After Matthew McConaughey was cast in Interstellar, a theory began doing the rounds online that the actor had actually made a minor cameo in Christopher Nolan's prior film, The Dark Knight Rises. During the opening sequence in which Bane is extracted from a CIA plane, the pilot is briefly visible for a few seconds, and many later believed the actor playing the pilot to be McConaughey in a sneaky cameo. Even today, you'll find Nolan fans who swear this is indeed the Oscar-winning actor, and although the man in question certainly does bear a strong resemblance to McConaughey, it just isn't him. I mean, after all, what's more plausible? That Nolan had McConaughey show up on set to shoot 2 seconds of footage for a cameo no one ever talked about, or it's just a guy that sort of looks like him. 9. Denzel Washington, Death Wish. One piece of trivia that did the rounds online for many years was that Denzel Washington had a small, uncredited cameo role in the classic 1974 revenge thriller Death Wish. Washington was said to appear briefly as a thug who gets shot and killed by Charles Bronson's vengeful protagonist halfway through the movie. And though the uncredited actor does indeed look a lot like a young Washington, it is not him. Washington himself even cleared things up in a 2016 interview, saying, No, I wasn't even an actor yet. I remember on my IMDb thing, they used to have it on there, but no, I think the movie was in 74, I didn't start acting until 75. 8. Jessica Chastain, Jurassic World. No matter how many movies they appear in, there is still a huge contingent of casual moviegoers that just can't tell the difference between Jessica Chastain and Bryce Dallas Howard. Both actresses are of course well known for their distinctive red hair, but also bear a number of other similar physical features, namely pale skin and high cheekbones. As such, many are still under the mistaken belief that Chastain is the co-lead of the Jurassic World franchise, seemingly unable to tell the two actresses apart. It became enough of a thing that Howard even wrote a little song about not being Jessica Chastain, and earlier this year, Chastain posted her own TikTok where she musically declared herself sick of the comparison, complete with the caption, "When you spend 20 years building a career and they still think you work at Jurassic Park." 7. Kurt Russell, Iron Man. Type Kurt Russell Iron Man into Twitter or Google and you'll find a ton of people shocked at discovering that, no, the legendary actor hasn't played 2 villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Russell of course played Ego the Living Planet in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but many MCU fans have spent years that this was his second appearance in the franchise, after playing Obadiah Stane in the original Iron Man. Stane was in fact played by Jeff Bridges, but because the two actors share a certain physical resemblance and both are celebrated genre actors from the same era, some apparently can't even slightly tell them apart. Given that Iron Man was released 13 years ago and Stane isn't exactly among the MCU's more memorable villains, it's hardly the most embarrassing mistake in the world, though an amusing one all the same. 6. Steve Coogan, The Wolf of Wall Street. Roughly 1 hour into Martin Scorsese's crime epic The Wolf of Wall Street, we're treated to a brief clip showcasing Jordan Belfort's fancy yacht, presented as a quasi-parody of the hit TV show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. A voiceover then gives us a little advert, and the presenter's nasal narration caused many viewers to assume that none other than Steve Coogan had provided the sneaky voiceover, with entire Twitter threads full of people trying to make sense of it. As much as the voice does indeed sound like Coogan, it was in fact recorded by Robin Leach, who was the host of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Nobody would have batted an eyelid if someone told you it was Coogan doing a Leach impression, but a director of Scorsese's repute was able to secure a line reading from the man himself. 5. Margot Robbie, Ready or Not. If you take Twitter at face value, apparently Margot Robbie, Samara Weaving, Emma Mackey, and several other young blonde actresses with striking facial features are all actually the same person, or at least people have a really hard time telling them apart. As a result, it's little surprise that audiences have mixed up their filmographies, with a good portion of moviegoers believing that Margot Robbie was the star of 2019's hit horror comedy Ready or Not, when it was in fact Samara Weaving. In addition to both actresses being native Australians, their strong physical resemblance is undeniable. Given that the film cast Weaving in the role of a spunky bride fighting to survive, it's at least understandable why many simply felt it made sense for Robbie to be playing the part. Curiously, both actresses will be appearing in Damien Chazelle's new film Babylon, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not the director has cast them specifically for their similar likenesses. 4. Tom Hardy, Prometheus. When Prometheus was released back in 2012, there was a ton of discussion online about Tom Hardy playing protagonist Elizabeth Shaw's love interest, Charlie Holloway, prompting outlets to gently remind them that no, the Inception star wasn't actually in Ridley Scott's sci-fi epic. Holloway was instead played by the similar-looking Logan Marshall Green, though adding to the confusion, Hardy ended up attending the world premiere of Prometheus alongside the actor. The realization of Holloway's true casting prompted some viewers to vindictively label Marshall Green not Tom Hardy, or more cruelly, discount Tom Hardy. The actor perhaps had the last laugh though, as he ended up starring in the 2018 action thriller Upgrade, which was effectively a superior version of Hardy's own superhero vehicle released the very same year, Venom. 3. Zoe Saldana, Mission Impossible 2. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible 2 often, or not at all since its 2000 release, you might be surprised to learn that Thandiwe Newton plays female lead Nia Nordoff Hall. It apparently remains a shock to many, who assume that the part was in fact played by a 21-year-old Zoe Saldana. But of course, Saldana was barely starting her acting career at the time that the franchise sequel went into production, and it wasn't until she appeared as Anna Maria in the original Pirates of the Caribbean that she began to win more prestigious roles, namely her star-making part in Avatar. Many apparently lack that frame of reference for her career, and even to this day, there are those who believe that she played the part of Nia as a young actress. 2. Leonardo DiCaprio, Stillwater. Tom McCarthy's new film Stillwater stars Matt Damon as an American oil worker who must fight the French legal system to free his daughter Allison from prison after she's falsely accused of murdering her friend. As soon as the poster for the film was released, showing Damon in a baseball cap with a goatee, many film fans noted the actor's strong resemblance to Leonardo DiCaprio, particularly in roles such as Body of Lies and The Revenant, where he sports a baseball cap and a scraggly goatee respectively. Before long jokes were being made about Leo being unrecognizable as Matt Damon, and as high profile as the two actors are, we might as well admit it. This one really does feel like Damon unleashing his inner Leo for a role. 1. Andie McDowell, The Frighteners. Peter Jackson's cult classic 1996 horror comedy The Frighteners stars Michael J. Fox as Frank Bannister, a man who uses his abilities to communicate with the dead in order to con people. One of his marks, and ultimately his love interest, is physician Lucy, who a shocking number of audience members over the years have assumed was played by none other than Andie McDowell. In actual fact, Lucy was played by actress Trini Alvarado, yet if you enter Andie McDowell The Frighteners on Twitter or Google, you'll find dozens of comments and reviews from people who didn't realize the actress wasn't the 4 Weddings and a Funeral star. With their similar frizzy hair and porcelain-like complexions, the mistake is understandable, especially seeing as both actresses have kept a fairly low profile in recent years. And there you have it, folks. 10 actors audiences are convinced are in movies, but actually aren't. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.